So there are people that are just avoiding this project entirely because they're like, I don't want to deal with a janky PvP endgame.
I'm above you. So right, yeah.
We need someone on
I'm with you too.
so we know if they like flank.
I'm dead.
Dead.
You gotta stay strapped or get clapped out here, man, in the desert streets.
That hurts. Funcom has something really special with this game. They've developed one of the best immersive PvE sandbox experiences that you can get right now. Single player story is awesome. World is immersive. Sandworm's a lot of fun. Yeah, combat's a little janky. There's some bugs. You lose a ship here and there, but they're still working on it. So the PvE part of this game is excellent, enjoyable. People are getting hundreds of hours out of it. And that is the game loop. The game loop is 98% PvE in Haga Basin. Problem is that when they get towards the end of that loop, all of a sudden, the game changes on them.
We're trying to edit that.
Their survival RPG transitions into a PvP extraction game. There is a large double-digit percentage of players that is getting to that wall and saying, you know what, screw this. Not only do I not want to participate in this, but I am losing faith in wanting to continue playing this game at all because clearly this decision and design is so poor, I am losing confidence in the project. And that sucks. The vision you want is an end game where PvP is kind of like what you can do. It's where the best loot is, right? That's a cool design decision, and I appreciate that you guys want to do that. But now we have to talk about the reality. They feel like you don't want them playing if they don't want a PvP. That's the message that's going out. That's why there's so much confusion right now. We can fix this. You can fix this. Fix this. Fix this. Fix this. Fix this. A message from the creative director on PvE and PvP. We want PvE players to be able to play the endgame and have access to the content of the endgame. Our goal is not to force PvE players to interact with a PvP system that they may have no interest in. Okay, there's the foot forward. All right, so let's see what that means. Attention of heading out there, head on a swivel, eyes peeled for foes as you enter the most dangerous part of the most dangerous planet in the universe. Our wish was that players would embrace this loop, forming guilds to work together to overcome the bleakness of the deep desert. You know, I have to admit, I really like how transparent this is. I mean, he's literally going, I had this really cool concept for the end game. You know, everything's there for it to work, but for it to work, the players need to do it, and the players aren't doing it. And I mean, technically he's right. If the players got together and formed like, you know, factions and actually like this, the mechanics could support it, but they don't guide the player to it. So, but I mean, so and let's keep going. Some areas of the deep desert will now be flagged as partial warfare, while the deepest parts of the deep desert will remain as they currently are, high reward, high risk areas. Players will be able to explore testing stations and harvest T6 resources without the threat of conflict they may not want. PvP itself has plenty of issues that need to be addressed. We're taking steps in that direction with our first changes to Scout Ornithopters. Scout Ornithopters with rocket launchers attached will have their speed maneuverability reduced. Rockets fired from Scout Ornithopters will have increased heat generation. Good. And a new T5 infantry rocket launcher will be added to help improve the dynamics of vehicle ground combat. Now, I gotta say, if it turns out this is super strong, this would change the game completely. Like, what if it becomes more advantageous to get to the ground first and get your rocket launcher out instead of engage another scout? You know, like, this is interesting. This could lead to some many different or interesting PvP encounters, potentially. There are additional changes to mechanics like respawn timers, vehicle storage tools, hand scanners, and other mechanics that we see being abused in the deep desert. The intended dynamic of deep desert PvP in Dune Awakening is that unless you really mess up, you always have the option to retreat in good order with whatever you've managed to claim so far. If you're smart and vigilant, you never have to fight if you don't want to. If you run, you have to call a halt to whatever task you were pursuing. That should always be a choice. PvP should happen when both parties decide they want to fight over location. I love the idea of everything I'm reading here. Like this is a good direction to get it to. That is not how it is at all currently.
Forky, I'm sorry. It didn't have to be like this.
It is the intended dynamic. So if they actually make this a reality, I mean, that would be incredible. Because that's like a, I put this in the same vein and actually have it be rewarding for each side of that equation. I put that in the same vein as making an MMO that properly caters to the casuals and hardcore at the same time. It's like one of those gaming philosophies that everyone chases and no one actually gets. Like it's one of those golden things that no one will ever attain. Yeah, a PvP system where even losers win, kind of, you know, like that's wild. But hey, you know what? It's a great goal to work towards. The deep desert becomes a place where people battle it out over specific objectives, unburied testing stations and shipwrecks, resource-focused islands, and of course, spice blows. Finally, the intended dynamic has always been combined arms. Thopters will always be incredibly important for crossing the desert, but they shouldn't also be the dominant force in actual battles. We're planning to make more changes to the deep desert to accommodate ground battles and reinforce use of player builds. Awesome direction to go in. Now let's talk briefly about the Landsrad. The activities that the Landsrad asks you to do will become more varied as we flesh out the world with more content and activities. It is a framework that holds the endgame activities in place. And we will keep adding endgame activities and more PvE content to the game going forward, both free and paid content in the form of DLCs and expansions. Thanks for listening, everyone, and apologies for the confusion. Once a live game launches, it becomes a collaborative effort between the developers and the players to make something amazing. We appreciate your feedback on what we hope is the beginning of a long journey together. Bear with us. Our intention is to be clear and open in our communication and to make Dune Awakening a game that everyone can enjoy. I hope this helps. Joel. Dude, not only did that help, but I mean, that is about the best thing you could have done. Like that's most of what we're asking for. So like there's two steps to this. There's a breathe in and a breathe out. This is a fantastic breathe in. It is an excellent roadmap to some great fixes, some great insight on why some of the things are the way they are. All of a sudden, some systems that I thought were basic make a lot more sense because they're treating them more as framework foundations and actual systems like this is all great communication. This bodes very well for this project. The fact that they did this much in the amount of time that they did, and like, yeah. We'll get excited when all these changes are in the game and it works. So it's going to be interesting to see like how agile they can be with this. And we have the QOL patch coming next month too. PvE in the deep desert, scout ornithopter stuff being adjusted, more risk versus reward where it's supposed to be, improving the variance of ornithopter combat with ground combat. I like the idea of talking to the guild and being like, hey, what are we doing today for the Landsrad? It's like an actual activity. You know, like what if a Landsrad activity was successfully harvest spice with a carryall and sandcrawler for 5 minutes? Oh, cool. Guess we're gonna go do that today, right? You know, so like that could be really fun. That could be really fun. But no, man, overall, this is great. Like I said, it's step one of a two-step process. This is a great beginning, but we got to see the implementation. But this is a great first step, dude.